the Foreign Minister of Afghanistan. He will introduce and will say a few words on the subjects that you are interested, and then if you have any question, His Excellency will be glad to answer.
Well, actually what I wanted to do here is has been a great deal of publicity lately about narcotics problem in Afghanistan. And since I was here for the General Assembly, I wanted to say a few words about how we try to cope with the problem. I would like to begin by saying that there is an earnest desire in the government of Afghanistan to do whatever it can for controlling the problem, but it is not an easy problem. There is, in the last year and a half, we see there is an increase in the traffic of drugs through Afghanistan because some measures have been taken in Turkey to control it, and some measures have been taken also in Iran to control it. As a result, we feel that the international drug traffickers have zeroed on Afghanistan more than before. The government of Afghanistan, we have appointed 2 committees last year to deal with the problem from its different aspects. One committee is responsible for the security, the control of this, in other words, fighting the crimes of growing the plants or of trafficking them through Afghanistan or making commerce them. That would mean it has a responsibility for the investigation in the field. It has a responsibility for the custom houses where these things are being trafficked. And it has also a responsibility for seeing to it that adequate laws are being enacted in order to secure an efficient control of the problem. We have even gone to the degree that the Supreme Court of Afghanistan, which is responsible for the administration of justice, has, on the request of the government of Afghanistan, established a special court to deal with the problem of narcotics. And at the moment, there is even a training program for the judges and who would have to deal with these problems, because this is the type of a problem which was not known before to our people, so our judges have very little experience in this. In many of the courts, the training of the judge, his intuition, his experience with the type of crime that is before him helps a great deal. So for this purpose, there is a training program now, and I think some of these young judges are coming to the United States to have training here. We also found out that while the traditional law of Afghanistan, which is based on Islam as common law for Afghanistan, while that law is basically against the taking of narcotics because it is related to the same field of like alcohol. You're not supposed to lose your mind, so you're not supposed to use drugs or alcohol for that purpose. While this is the basic attitude of Islamic law, which is the common law of Afghanistan, the problem has developed now in a more complicated way. So this basic principle, which is embodied in the Islamic law, cannot take care sufficiently of all the variations of this crime. Because of this, we thought this committee, which is headed by the Minister of Interior or Justice, I don't remember very well, but this committee is trying to help with the drafting of a code And as we went along, the research proved that this would be quite an interesting document after we completed, because the efforts of this type, having an independent code for it, are not very many in the world. There is the other committee which is responsible for some social and medical aspect and commercial aspect of the thing. This committee is going to deal with the substitute crop problem, how the people of the areas in which opium is was grown, and when the law abolished it, still it is difficult to enforce the law because there are some economic conditions that make it very difficult to have the complete application of the law, a careful application of the law. Some of the areas are so mountainous that the land which is at the disposal of the people there, if you grow anything else on it, it will have no economic value or very little. In both parts of Afghanistan where the opium was, there was a possibility of the growing of the opium, and where law has forbidden it, they're very poor from the viewpoint of economic development and very difficult from the viewpoint of having access to it because they are mountainous areas. As a matter of fact, last year when we had this terrible drought, it was so difficult for us to get food to this area that we had to ask the Soviet Union to allow us to send some of our relief material to them through the territory of the Soviet Union, because from that side it is easier across the river to give these things to them. And this year we have a program to do this before the winter closes in. For about 8 months of the year, and in some areas even 9 months of the year, it's very difficult to have access to these areas. It is on the way to China. It's near our border to China, and on the other side is the Russian border. So this other committee will be dealing with the problem of finding a substitute crop or finding a substitute way of life for these people. The growing of opium, for example, for medical purposes, to begin with paying adequate prices that would make these people rehabilitate to find a new legitimate profession, perhaps in the same domain. This is also the responsibility of this committee, and as I understand, they have made contacts with different companies to see how this could be arranged. There is also the problem of the health problem. Some people who have been addicted to taking narcotics, how to institute some rehabilitation programs for them. Although we don't have, the native Afghans are very few who take narcotics. This is something that is usually our guests from many foreign countries, when they come to Afghanistan, they help themselves rather generously to these drugs. But the Afghans themselves, perhaps because it wasn't considered something very chic, they don't do it. They used not to do it. Now it is coming in the fashion, so perhaps some of our youth is also involved, in the cities at least. In any case, we also have a problem of rehabilitation, a problem of how to deal with the chronic cases where addiction has been a problem. This is also the responsibility of this committee, and there is the Minister of Public Health, the Minister of Commerce, the Minister of Agriculture, which is involved in this committee. Now, in order to make the work of these two committees effective, we in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had to provide some coordination work. As a matter of fact, I have been saying to myself that in the last year I have been a minister of wheat and fertilizer and narcotics, because we had a drought, a very severe drought. We had to cope with that, so we had to assemble some help. And that was, the Minister of Foreign Affairs had to do it. Then we had a problem of the drought again. we had to use whatever water we had in the best possible way, so we had to search for fertilizer, which we didn't have. And the narcotics, the government of the United States, Federal Republic of Germany, England, even Italy, all these countries which are, the Narcotic Bureau has also been very generous in offering its help, at least in the technical assistance side of it. Ambassador Schuman, who is the head of this organization, he came to Afghanistan, and I had personally a meeting with him. My colleagues met him, and then it was decided upon that he should send a technical mission for survey to see these areas for themselves, and then also to organize a little plan. What we are aiming at is that with the help of the United Nations and other friendly countries, Afghanistan should be able to prepare this year a blueprint of a plan for how to fight narcotics, that is the growing, the taking, the sending, the trafficking of narcotics. This, as I understand now, when I was not in the country, one mission composed of 2 people have gone there. I think there was a legal expert and also a technical expert on another side of the narcotics problem. They have been to Afghanistan and have paid a visit. In the meanwhile, there was the United Nations conference in Geneva. There was this conference on some proposed amendments to the single convention. We have fears also of this evil, not only for our own people, but we do not want to be a member of the international community, which is from which or through which this traffic is passing, which is doing harm to the international community. And I hope that this year will be the beginning of a planning, and in the years to come it will be possible for us to control this. But I must say one thing, that controlling this effectively is behind the means of only Afghanistan. Help, both moral, technical, and material, is needed in order to control this. We are a developing country with a very low rate of development, with lots of economic problems of our own, and it is not possible for us to put aside a lot of money to pay for the substitute crop, to pay for the buying the opium from the people with a high price and then destroy it. So the rich countries which are concerned with this problem, the international community, international organizations, as they have indicated, we will need their effective material and technical help, both. And from the press, I would like to appeal to all of you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, that that our
heroin and cocaine, and if so, do they manufacture that in Afghanistan or they come from outside?
Well, primarily it is the hashish, which grows in some parts of Afghanistan because of climatic situations, wild. In opium too, in some areas it is the climatic conditions are of a nature that produces, as I was told, even one of the best kinds of opium. The subsidiary products are not made in Afghanistan. Only recently we discovered something very interesting, and which I was told was something new. This is a technical matter, I don't know much about it, but they said that some foreign merchants of in this field, they had developed a little setup. They had built a little setup in the city of Kabul, whereby they turned hashish into a liquid thing. So you can take it as a drink. And this, as I was told, was something new in the field of narcotics. This man, or a group of people, they were discovered about 3 or 4 months ago, I'm not sure. And It was an operation, I think, of the setup of about $1 million or something.